Today, I'm showing you how you can build sites like this in Google Sites and have forms like that be integrated by leveraging AI. So we're going to start off by building our form, which is a custom form using an AI tool called Weebly.ai. It's free in the same sense as Google Forms, so you have unlimited responses, all your functionality. The only paying part is the branding, namely removing this Powered by Weebly badge here. So the way that it works is, well, it's AI based. So I'm guessing by now you should be familiar with it. You basically just prompt what you want as a form and the form gets built for you. So we could say, I need a lead generation form for my agency website, for example. It needs to qualify potential projects. So you type that in, you press generate form, and Weebly's AI is going to then come up with the right questions, the right types of questions, the right layout of the pages, etc. And it's going to generate a form for us. Okay, so this is the initial result. So we have obviously some lead generation information and then some project details, the name of the project, the type of services that they're interested in, budget and timing. So all of these things that you would expect from a lead generation form, but the nice thing is that everything is set up for you. But you can of course tweak it manually, so you can change the text, change the type of questions, or you can add additional questions manually. So that's one part. The second part is that we can automatically change the way that our form looks like. And as you can tell, it already looks better than your average Google form, but you can sort of tweak the background color, the primary colors. You can choose the way that the visual is showcased, etc. So I'm going to skip this part ahead because this is essentially just restyling the form to match our website's brand. And then we'll actually look into how we can add this to the Google Sites. Okay, so there we go. I basically changed it minimally. So I changed the border color and the primary color to match the blue of our website right here. I changed the style of the inputs to be a bit more modern and match the style of the website, and I changed the font, right? So nothing crazy. You could go very advanced and have custom CSS and all that, but that's not the topic of this tutorial. So we generated our form with AI. We could have designed it with AI, but it was basic enough. And now the question is, how do I add this to my Google Sites? So I hit publish first, so I get a link. If I head over to share, you'll have this link right here. So this link right here allows me to share it with respondents as a standalone form. So if I open up a new browser tab and I enter the URL, I basically get the form as a standalone website. But of course, we want to integrate it into our Google Sites. So let's scroll down because we're going to add it at the bottom of our website, and you have this embed block right here. So let's hit the embed, and in the case of Weebly, you can just enter the URL of the form and you don't need to have any embed code or that sort of stuff. You'll want to select the whole page solution right here and you just press insert. So this is going to add the form in your website, and if I then check out the preview, you can see I have my website right here, and as I scroll down, I have the form which fits nicely into the website. Now, of course, there's two things that are important and that will probably come up when you're testing this. The first one you can see right here is if the form is too long, you get a scroll bar. There's nothing you can do about that. And that issue also goes when you look into the mobile version of your website. So if I scroll down here, you'll see the form is really, really, really tiny, and it's a lot of scrolling. So if I have a couple of questions on mobile, this is really not user-friendly. Unfortunately, there's no way to solve this very cleanly inside of Google Sites. So whether you're using Weebly or you're using a different form building tool, that's the same. And the problem is that Google basically tries to keep the aspect ratio of your embed the way that you put it on the website. So to give you an example, the way that I can solve this on mobile is if I make this a lot more narrow and I then go back and look at the mobile preview of my website, suddenly it's going to look a lot better. So now it actually makes sense and it sort of fits into my website as a full-length form. Of course, that doesn't solve, well, that's sort of solving one problem but creating another one, because now on my desktop website, I have this huge empty white space here. So one way to solve this is by trying to go somewhere in between. So you You make it somewhat more narrow so that it's going to work on mobile. And then for the desktop, the best way of dealing with this is by just adding an image. So let's add an image to our form and you'll see what I mean. So we have ourselves a nice portrait-oriented image, which will make a bit bigger and make a bit longer so that it sort of fills up the part of the empty space which the form automatically creates. So now we have something which is going to almost look all right on desktop, right? So this sort of naturally flows. Maybe the image is a bit off, but you wouldn't go through this and think like, oh, this is really weird. And it also works on mobile. So going through mobile, I have my form right here at the top, and then I have my question at the bottom. So this does require some tweaking. You can see, like, for example, here the form, it's still a bit too short because there's quite some scrolling. So we might want to make the form a tad longer by making it a tad more narrow and see whether that fits better on the website. So depending on your form, you'll need to tweak the width of this by just dragging and dropping, and then ideally just put an image next to it so that it fits both on desktop and on mobile. So that's how you create a custom form with AI and integrate it into Google Sites almost without a hassle.